Hey everyone, just wanted to let y'all know that my physical copy of my graphic novel is now available to purchase on Amazon. There's also the ebook form, but it's finally done. I'm excited. Finally got the physical copy ready to go. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave the links down in the descriptions, alright? Other than that, I hope you enjoy the video. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Arts. Wicked here, and I thought I would show my drawing process too on top of the coloring. I know I usually just show the coloring and explaining, but I thought I would explain a little bit about what I do. So as you can see, I just kind of have like basic stick figure like sets, just quick sketches of things set up. And then what I do is I just kind of fade out that layer, add a new layer above it, and I just call it details. So I'm using just a blue color. You can use whatever color you want. I just wanted to show some difference. And this is when I go in and add a little bit more detail as to what the character is going to look like. It's still loose and sketchy and kind of scribbly looking. So this way I can really kind of establish. And this is for a comic book that I'm working on for a YouTuber at The Big Thing, Christian Harlow channel. You can go check it out on his channel. Um, but yeah, there's a particular scene where there's a druid priestess. She's kind of using necromancy to bring the dead back to life in this city that she's kind of destroyed. So yeah, what I do now is after I get all the details in a sketchy layer, um, I go and add a new layer on top of that and just call it lines. So this is where I'm refining and putting the last like actual lines that are going to be in the image. So it's this three-part process. When I'm really trying to make sure I get things right. Sometimes I can go in there and just kind of draw the first stage where it was, or the second stage where it was just in the blue. But sometimes I have to kind of start with that skeletal structure. So I'm just really making sure I go in and add every little kind of detail, like the cracks in the nails on the fingers. Um, and then I just kind of erase out the other layer just so I can see what it looks like. And then getting other little subtle details like the folds, adding a few extra lines here and there just to kind of really, like I said, bring out some more details in it. It may take a little bit longer for the process, but all in all, it kind of helps it, look better in the finale if you take your time and really get all the details that you're trying to get in there. You may see kind of like a background flying in and out. I've already drawn the background for this scene. I just didn't want to make the video super long by showing that whole process too. I know most of my audience is usually into drawing characters anyway, so I thought I would just focus on that. So once I have that all done, you can see I'm finishing up with this last guy. I wanted to kind of do like a funny thing with this guy, like because it takes place in Philadelphia where this thing's going on, but he's like an Eagles fan. I eventually end up erasing him just because I think I went a little too silly over the top with him, but he stays in there for now. And then I wanted to draw in some rocks and stuff that this other um, zombie-like creature is crawling out of, because the druid has actually already destroyed the city as a whole, and so some of the people are more, like this guy's more of his hair was burnt off and things like that because it was a large blast. So what I'm doing is I set a new layer below the line layers, and I just pick kind of a almost like a grayish blue color for the sign. I didn't want to go with that kind of, traditional flesh color because these things aren't like zombies. Like if you get bit, you turn into a zombie. These are just dead people that have been brought back to life. So I wanted to go with more like a ghoulish color, so it's kind of a gray blue. And then I just pick colors that I think are suiting to, contrast and things like that to just make them stand out more. And like I said with this guy, I wouldn't worry too much about him. I spent time drawing him, and then it wasn't until I got finished that I realized, hey, I don't think I want to use this guy anymore. So I spent all the time drawing like the little eagles thing on there and stuff like that. And I think I just should have made him a little bit less cartoony. So now I'm pulling up. You can see I have two background layers. So this is the close background to the foreground, and I'm just picking basic damage building colors and putting that in. And then I have the other background. The reason why I separate them like this is you'll see later I have some mist and stuff. So like for the windows on the buildings, I'm just doing kind of a light uh, very light green because the mist is a green color, so I wanted to kind of reflect that a little bit. And again, I'm just using to keep things consistent and not like overtake with detail and color and like draw the attention away from the zombies. I'm just using very muted like grays and tans and things like that for the buildings. Um, just because they're there just to show that there was, trying to keep the consistency of the destruction in the city and things like that. So I'm just taking my time just filling all those in with a basic color. And then once all that's filled in, I just kind of added like a sky gradient on there. I did kind of like a purple to black kind of thing. And then I covered that whole background layer at 50% and just called it shadow. And now I'm going in and erasing out, working with the negatives again. Just erasing out the parts that would be facing the light. And that way it looks a little bit more. You can see I got rid of the guy, and this is where I add a layer in between each layer to do the kind of green mist, and then I just repeat the process again for this next part, the background and the concrete that's just kind of laying around. Um, and then I just wanted to make sure I have those shadows on a separate, layer for where they're walking. And then I just added in the rest of the mist to the front. And those are just really kind of silhouettes in the background. There's no real details to them. Um, and then I try to do like a color pick type thing or a magic wand, and it didn't really work out. I must have not connected a line somewhere, and I was just lazy and didn't feel like going in there and searching for it to fix it. So I just eventually painted it in and paint bucket filled, and that was just for the zombie on the front. So what I'm doing now is again just working with the negative. So I filled the whole thing black, and I'm just kind of subtracting out the areas of where the light would hit. Again, I don't always 100% go for what's 100% true to life accurate. I kind of go for more like what looks cool. So it's kind of a balance between the two. But yeah, once I'm done with the guy in the front, I just then continue on to the back and filling that out as well too. And you'll see that eventually I go in there and I add like a glow layer, doing an inner and an outer glow. And I just kind of pick that green color like I have for their eyes. And that'll have a soft little glow effect to it to kind of look like they're being summoned out of the ground. And then I go in and add a new layer on top of the shadows for this foreground and just take an airbrush tool. I pick kind of like a high light green of that same area and just kind of go around the edges and give them the highlights, just so it looks good. But other than that, I'd go in above everything and just call it a word bubble panel, and I make them say "rar," kind of thing, and just put a drop shadow on it, and that's really honestly it. I mean, that pretty much does it for the page. I just kind of did like a purple overlay too, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.